What is going on, everybody? Welcome in Wager Alarm Tuesday Night Ticket live stream. I'm your host, Howard Bender. With me, of course, Craig Mish. And oh, baby, Craig. Oh, baby. That's all I could say. Just oh, baby.
It paid off.
Oh, baby. Really? That's it? That's all you got?
All season long, you waited for this moment for us, for the people who've been dedicated watching the live stream all season long, saying, hey, you guys were really good last year. What's going on here? We're 3/4 of the way through the season. Your percentages are down. Well, we're right back where we needed to be after a stellar week. Honestly, I would much rather go 4-3, 3-2, 4-3 than have that one big shot. But the reality is, at the end of the season, they grade you based on the results, and we're pretty much almost right back in the position that we were last year, ready to make a run here at the end, trying to get in the money both now in the Golden Nugget and in the Super Contest. So I think that we both have talked about how disappointing it has been, especially in the Super Contest as opposed to last year. But 7-0 in the Golden Nugget Contest with 5 games in college winners against the spread, 5 for 5. Last week we also had a great week in college, so we're starting to turn the corner there like we were at the beginning of the season. We were off to a great start, and then we hit a skid. And in the NFL, it's been a much more difficult this year than it has last year, but I think we're on the right track again there, 4-1 this past week. So now we have to, at least in the Super Contest, continue, I would say, a run of being 3-2, 4-1 for the next few weeks, because we'll do very well in week 16 and 17. We were unbelievable last year down the stretch, weeks 15, 16, and 17. I think we had a 5-0 and 2 4-1s. So that's 5, 9, 13, and 2. And that's because you can kind of get ahead of those spreads a little bit with some of the players not playing in there. But look, it matters for us just as much as it does for the people who watch the live stream. But happy to be here tonight, going through it all with you.
Right. Makes it a lot easier when it's a good week.
It does. It does.
No doubt about it. For the record, though, this is our second 7-0 in the Golden Nugget this season.
That's incredible.
Right?
Wow. We have 2 weeks of 7-0. I didn't realize that.
We hit a 3-week, 4-week skid, like right in the middle there. And it wasn't even, 2 weeks were like really bad. And I'm not gonna, listen, that's what happens. It fluctuates, and
of course.
Yeah, listen, I would love to be shooting 85%. I would, but nobody does that.
Nobody does that. Nobody does 70%. Nobody does
71%. I do know somebody who went 71% last year.
Nobody did 70%. Nobody does 60%. And so if we're hovering around the 55% mark in both contests, I think we're doing our job. We still have more work. I mean, we're running out of time in the Golden Nugget. But in the Super Contest, we certainly have a lot of time and a lot of ground still that we can make up here. There's still, I believe, 6 weeks left in the season. So that's another 30 picks. We can make up a lot of ground there. And in the Golden Nugget, if we were able to go 5-2 or 6-1 over the last 3 weeks, we obviously have a shot to cash there too. But we're above 500 now there as well.
All right. So there you go. Not so bad. Not so bad at all. Let's talk about what happened. Let's start with the Golden Nugget.
Sure.
Let's start with our college games. The first one, a hit. Louisville. We've been up and down with Louisville. They've done well for us. They've screwed us. Here we go. Back on top. Louisville ends up, covering that spread on NC State. They played.
Yeah, NC State is having a really tough year.
Did you freeze? I feel like he froze.
Did I freeze there?
Look, he did freeze.
Am I back now?
Oh, there you are.
Okay. Sorry.
I was like, man, Louisville, you don't want to get excited about that? You're just like sitting there, you're like,
the love of the internet. What can I tell you? Let me shut this off just to be sure. So Louisville basically they dominated NC State. NC State is having a historically bad season for their college. They're on their third, fourth string quarterback at this point. Believe it or not, NC State this week is an underdog at Georgia Tech, a team that's lost 4 games in a row, and they're 2-8 on the season. It's just gotten really bad for those kids there. And so we took advantage, and we picked Louisville 4 times this year. They've covered 3 out of the 4 times.
There you go. Second game we took, Wyoming. They were a 5.5-point dog going into Utah State. So talk to me here. You going with that road dog? It paid off.
Boy, it was really close because the line came out on Wednesday in the Golden Nugget. It was 5.5. It went up to 6. It went to 5 at kickoff. So this would have been a push for us. So anybody who waited till game day did that. And this was really touch and go right up until the end. But fortunately, Wyoming was able to score a late touchdown. They even had a chance to win this game in the end. but they did fall short. So, Wyoming's a pretty good football team. This is going to be a big loss in terms of hurting them for a big bowl game, but we'll take that. We'll take that cover. And in watching this game, Jordan Love, I got to tell you, like he was supposed to be a top 3 pick in the NFL draft going into the season. And Howard, he's still going to be a first-round pick. He's going to be one of these combine babies that's going to go to the combine, and you'll be remembering when I say it. You'll look at his stats and go, "Wait a second here. For 16 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Why in the world is this guy a first-round pick in the NFL?" But physically and aesthetically, he has all the tools. Athletically, he has all the tools too. So he'll be a first-round pick for sure. He'll go to the combine. He'll jump high. He'll lift a lot of weights, and he'll end up going to like the Chargers or something like that in the draft.
Beautiful. Chargers. They need somebody.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What an atrocity. We'll talk about that game. We'll talk about that game in just a bit. Never do we talk about that field in Mexico City. Are you kidding me? That was ridiculous, dude.
Yeah, I thought we had that.
I did too. We looked good early. We'll get back to that. Let's focus on the positive here. And let's talk about Texas. Another road dog covers that 7-point spread. Looked like they actually, they got off to a really nice start early on in the game.
Well, they got off to a good start, and then they were down 2 touchdowns, and then all of a sudden they came back and made the game close. That's really all we wanted. Mm-hmm. Not a real opportunity, I didn't think, to win the game. Texas has a really big game this week against Baylor, but it's the same thing, Howard, since the beginning we've been doing these live streams. Tom Herman, the head of Texas, as an underdog, has the best record in all of college football, and as the worst as a favorite, and it just keeps playing out that way. It isn't. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, but it happened again, and Texas is an underdog under Tom Herman is fantastic, and we cashed another ticket there.
Love that. Love that. Speaking of Baylor, we took Baylor. We got the 10 points.
Wow, that was a game. That was some game. I'll tell you about the Texas.
I was ready with the text messages. I was gonna be like, "Oh, Mish."
Yeah, and what I was thinking watching Texas Baylor, and look, I know that there's a lot of people who watch the NFL and they're fans of the NFL. The NFL would dream to get one game like the Baylor Oklahoma game on Saturday night. I mean, what a great game that was. Now I know disappointing. They're up 28-3 and they end up losing. I don't know. I never really felt like we were going to ever lose that, getting all the points we were getting. But I will say that there was a little bit of me toward the end that was wondering, like, oh my gosh, like, I mean, is there a chance that Baylor on their final drive throws a pick 6 and we lose? Like, I mean, that's the only scenario I saw kind of playing out. And look, Matt Rule has done a great job all year. That was a horrible job by Baylor in the second half of that game. Some of the worst play calling and drives, 3 and out, run, pass, kick, run, pass, kick, pass, run, kick. It was just, I mean, you had to know that firestorm was coming and they couldn't stop it. And look, the one quarterback that no one talks about is Jalen Hurts, man, from Alabama. He goes to Oklahoma and he's putting up Kyler Murray's numbers from last year. Why isn't anybody talking about Jalen Hurts like they were Kyler Murray? I think this Jalen Hurts is going to be like a 3rd-round pick in the NFL this coming year. I think he's going to end up being a good quarterback too. But look, Baylor, now you got to wonder when they play Texas this week, Howard. I don't know how you feel about it, and we'll decide on Friday night. But are they going to get up for this game against Texas as a 5.5-point favorite on Saturday? How do you get back up after your whole season goes up in flames in 2 quarters? I don't know the answer to that, but certainly thank you to Baylor for going up 28-3 and covering the spread, unlike the Falcons, who couldn't do it a couple of years ago, going up against New England and still didn't cover that spread in the Super Bowl.
The Falcons. Another story for later on here in the live stream.
Well, that was good.
Last college game we went with Memphis against Houston. Memphis laying 10. I got to be honest, I couldn't believe that Houston was scoring the way they were scoring. This game was a lot closer.
Memphis does not have a good defense.
Too close for comfort for me.
Yeah, Memphis does not have a good defense. We'll get to bowl season. We'll bet the over wherever they're playing, whatever bowl game. I mean, that's going to happen unless, some guys don't play and suspended. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But look, this is every year with them. They're always pretty good. They always get to the conference championship game. It's been an issue with them playing Central Florida the last couple of years, but UCF is obviously down. So Memphis still has a really good shot to win their conference, but they don't play D. And they don't play D. So they got to outscore their teams 50-30, that kind of thing. But I mean, a little early on, it looked like it was somewhat questionable, but they pulled away late, and that's the way it is.
No problem. Well, that's it. 5-0 college.
5-0. We'll take it right
beautiful. There. Oh, so happy. Nothing makes your Saturday better than being like, that felt good.
And a really good week in college the week before, so we're heading in the right direction with college football. Very good overall for the season too. Very good.
So for the Golden Nugget for the pro games that we chose, we took the Jets plus 1.5. This game was never in doubt. It was never in doubt. The Jets
very
went up
rare,
early.
Very rare NFL game, Howard. That's not in doubt with the spread. There are games that are never in doubt, win and loss. But like we always talk about, the games go into the fourth quarter and you don't know who's going to cover. This game, you knew who was going to cover, and you knew who was going to win 5 minutes in. The only thing that could have cost the Jets if Darnold would have thrown like four more picks in the game. The only reason why Washington even kicked a field goal is because Darnold threw a ball right to the linebacker. He ran all the way down to the 10-yard line. I don't know. I'm fading Washington the rest of the season. We certainly could do it. We could try it.
They had no business being favored by 2 points in this game.
They have no business playing against anybody right now. I think that they're worse than the Dolphins, but somehow their defense keeps them in games for a while. But their offensive line and Haskins, I don't know if he's good or not. It's really hard to judge because he's just constantly on the run. And by the way, him on the run is not a good thing. He doesn't look good. He's like very sloppy. He's falling behind. He's throwing the ball straight up in the air. A straight fade of any NFL team is not a good idea, but could we ever take Washington in any game the rest of the year after seeing that?
No, listen,
I don't think the Jets are good either.
No, they're not, but I'm happier getting a backdoor cover out of Cincinnati than I am thinking that Washington's going to do anything.
I don't think Washington could do anything. Yeah,
they're 3.5 point underdogs at home to Detroit, and that's still with Jeff Driscoll.
I probably would take Detroit. I couldn't take Washington in any game based on what I've seen. But then again, I didn't think Cincinnati would play as well as they did against Oakland last week also. It's a week-to-week league. You never know. But I'm sad a little bit for the Redskins because I feel like they may have to go back for another quarterback in the draft again this year. And I would hate to see Haskins get Josh Rosen a little bit, but I think there's a chance of that, man.
Listen, I don't feel bad about it at all. I really don't. I'm not. Well,
anyway,
you know what?
Was a great pick.
Dan Snyder, you reap what you sow, and that's just it. It's Dan Snyder. You get Dan Snyder off of that ownership of that team, and then I'm fine. Then I'll feel bad for Washington. But while Dan Snyder is still owning that team, I'm done. There's no reason to feel bad for them. So we did.
The Jets was a fantastic pick from start to finish. It made no sense to me that Washington was favored. They will not be favored in another game the rest of the season. And it was over at halftime, and it was just like I didn't even watch the second half of that game. I knew I very rarely will I say it's over. It was over at the half, 23. Yeah.
The other game, which we got a little late scare on, how about the Cardinals against the 49ers? Like,
yeah, I texted you on that end of that one. Yeah.
Listen, that was crazy because literally throughout the entire game, I was feeling super comfortable. I was happy. I was confident. And then we got down to that fourth quarter, and I was like, is San Francisco really going to pull away in this one? Like, you were worried about the pick six in the Baylor game.
That's the exact scenario I was worried about in the Arizona, too. The same thing. We're very lucky. Well, I guess we would have the Nugget we would have pushed, but, they don't kick the extra point there at the end. Look, the linemen on the Niners, I'm sorry. I watched football a long time. I've never seen a lineman just literally throw the ball as far as he can behind him. Like, if anything, like throw a lateral, throw it up in the air, but he just threw it into his own end zone. And look, this is the hard part about sports betting because on the one hand, you're trying to win. On the other hand, what you're trying to do is you're trying to beat Vegas's lines. And there's a lot of people that I'm hearing in the community and gambling, oh, well, you should have known that to take Arizona on Wednesday, like we did, or Thursday, and get your 11 or 11.5 because there's a lot of people who ended up pushing on Sunday. But you have to be on this 24 hours, 7 days a week and be a professional sports gambler to know exactly which way the line is going to go. It is not an easy thing to do. I feel like I'm good at it, and I feel like I can get ahead of it a lot of times. And a lot of times the underdogs that are 11, 12, they move down, but sometimes they move up too, depending on the scenario. So it's certainly not that easy. It's really sad. Some people actually had 9.5. I can't believe that. I didn't see 9.5 anyway. But yeah, a horrible push for a lot of people there for sure. For us, it really didn't factor in, but that was one of the wackier endings that we've seen in an NFL game. And again, what in the world was that lineman doing? What was he doing? Like, was he trying? What was he trying to do?
Try to screw people on the spread.
Nothing else comes to mind.
Nothing else comes to mind.
No, nothing. At Arizona next year, 2020, the two teams I would say right now that I like on the over-unders, like just kind of looking without knowing the numbers, Arizona has lost so many close games this year. And people are going to forget by the time next year comes, Howard. Their number is probably going to be 6.5 or 7, something like that. I think they're going to be good next year. I think the Cardinals will make some defensive changes. They'll be good. The other team, remember, look at the teams that have terrible records or bad records that have lost close games. The Lions. The Lions are finished for this year. But next year, when you go back and look, they were within a score of every game that they played in this year. And that is going to flip next year. The Lions total next year, 5.5, 6.
Yeah, but they were like that the year before also. This is like the Lions' MO. They start off the season really nice and you're happy and you're like, okay, they lost a couple of heartbreakers. And then all of a sudden they come back in the second half of the season and they're atrocious. And then you say they're terrible.
I think next year they will be better. I do. All right. I think next year they'll be better. But not this year. I'm not
maybe they'll give Bo Scarborough a chance.
Where did that come from? Let's see that guy. I mean, I watched Bo Scarborough play at Alabama. I mean, I thought like, he may be okay. He didn't catch the ball at all.
Revenge game narrative, man. It's always the way. It's the revenge game narrative. It always plays. Always.
No, I didn't hear anything about him going into the game. Did you? I didn't hear a word about him.
That he was going to be. That he was going to start seeing touches. Yeah.
I didn't see anything on that.
They signed him up. They signed him off the street.
I mean, he was. He's like, it was like the 7th string guy running back at Alabama. I can give you like 15 running backs they had ahead of him. He was okay there, but he wasn't. I mean, he wasn't near what some of the other guys were. But I'll tell you that he'll get the goal line carries for them for sure.
Sure. Well, they don't have anybody else. No, they don't. Ty Johnson's atrocious. J.D. McKissick can't take it between. Yeah, McKissick he can't take it between the tackles. He's a pass catcher.
What is the deal with Johnson on that team, by the way? Isn't he supposed to come back at some point or no? He can't.
Carry on?
Yeah.
I don't think so. He's done for the year.
Oh wow. I thought he was designated to return. I thought
they might have put him as designated to return just to see.
But now,
if they're not in any competition, why are you going to do that?
You're right. Doesn't make sense.
So now let's turn around here and let's talk Super Contest. So there you go. Those were our 7 picks for the Golden Nugget. 7-0. Feeling good. I'll give you a little knuckles on that. Bam.
There you go. And by the way, the Jets my Jets were my second favorite pick. Now we'll talk about my favorite pick.
We will. Well, we took the Jets and we took the Cardinals. Now in the Super Contest, Jets were only getting 1, and the Cardinals were only getting 11.
But we went with them anyway.
We lost our half point, but
we went with them anyway.
Now let's talk about your favorite. This blew me away that this was your favorite.
I know, and I wanted to use it. I used it everywhere that I could, in every contest that I could. Yeah, I just look, the stats for the Falcons all season long have indicated they are a better team than what they've shown.
Yes.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I could see them losing every game the rest of the season. But that being said, they did not deserve to be 5.5-point underdogs to a Carolina team that has been a little shaky. And by the way, like Indianapolis, as good as the Panthers are, they put teams away with a McCaffrey 70-yard run. That's not going to happen in every game. It is not. Allen will be okay. He just had a bad game. I'm not particularly worried about him. You just can't look at Atlanta and think that they're the team that you saw in the first half of the season. I would think that at this point, they've won their 2 games. Maybe they'll win a couple of more. The defense still needs to be fixed. They've been very fortunate. They were coming off a good situation. They still have a lot of talent on offense, even without Hooper. Hill didn't do much, surprisingly, but you still have Ridley, you still have Julio Jones, you still have Matt Ryan, and again, in a direct quarterback competition, sometimes you got to look at that too and just think, okay, quarterbacks on each side. Should Kyle Allen be a 5.5 or 6-point favorite over Matt Ryan? And the answer is no, never. He should never be. So it played itself out that way. That was my favorite one of the week. I got to tell you, I'm probably looking against Atlanta this week because now all of a sudden they've made them a huge favorite against Tampa. Like what? Like
is 4.5 points? Is 4.5 points at home a huge favorite?
Oh, they should. I don't think they should be favored at all. Why?
Still,
you think Atlanta's that good that they should be favored over Tampa? Tampa's the same team as them.
No, Tampa's not the same. All right, first of all, Tampa's secondary is a disgusting mess.
And so was Atlanta's.
The big key here. What's the big key? What's been the one thing that turned Atlanta around? Dan Quinn passed on the defensive play calling.
You think that much of it is that big of a
huge?
Fact? Really?
Huge. Okay. Huge.
I think Tampa wins.
What's that?
I think Tampa beats Atlanta this week.
Side bet?
Sure.
Pie to the face?
I want my points though.
Pie to the face?
Isn't next week is Thanksgiving, right?
Next week is Thanksgiving.
I promised I would do this whole the wide receiver thing for this week.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I'll do it this week. I'm in on that.
All right.
Because I'll take the pie on Thanksgiving Day.
Oh, yes, you will.
Yes. I promised I would do it. I'm in.
For those of you who have no idea what we're talking about, go to FF.
Like what?
Right? Go to ffpiebet.com. Check it out. You won't be disappointed. Who can be possibly disappointed at seeing people get hit in the face with a pie? So good. So good.
All right.
Nevertheless,
so Atlanta was pick 3.
Atlanta was pick 1. Right. Jets, Cardinals.
Right.
All right. Then we went Patriots, which this one here, I got to tell you, this was another one that was a lot closer than I thought. Tom Brady looks terrible.
Yeah, he doesn't look that good. Yeah.
He's looking his age. He's looking my age.
Yeah. Did Gronk make his announcement, by the way? I thought he had some huge announcement tonight.
He did, that he's leaving the door open for a 2020 return, but he is definitely not coming back this year.
All right. I must have missed that. Yeah, because I have Brady. I'm doing very well in one fantasy league, and I have Brady. And I was looking, because we're going to make the playoffs. And I was looking at the matchups, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, I don't know. And then I looked, and I saw that they play Kansas City in week 1 of the playoffs. I'm like, all right, fine, we'll keep Brady. We're not going to. We want that matchup against there. But yeah, they don't really run particularly well. They haven't passed particularly well. I thought Antonio Brown tweeting that out today was interesting. The timing of that, maybe they're trying to work something. I don't know. That was strange though that all of a sudden he did that, but. New England is going to play a lot of unders the rest of the season, probably. They're going to play a lot of closer games, but their defense is as good as any defense we've seen in the last decade, probably. Philadelphia, I would guess, will go on a nice run. If Philadelphia had one capable wide receiver playing with Carson Wentz, right. I think they'd be fine. I think that is a shame of what's happening with Wentz this season. I think Wentz is still very good. He just doesn't have anyone outside of Ertz to throw the ball to. It is a disaster. I think they'll end up with Judy on Alabama or one of these great wide receivers. They need to take like a Julio Jones type of wide receiver in the draft next season. I think Philadelphia is going to run off a bunch of wins. I was actually impressed with the way they played against New England. They could have scored a touchdown to win the game at the end. But for us, the key is Belichick off the bye has one of the best records in the history of the NFL. We rode with New England. They won by 7.
Now 15-5, Bill Belichick.
Unbelievable record. I mean, how can you go against that? Can't.
And we didn't, and we were happy, and we were successful. I agree with you that Philadelphia is probably going to run off a couple of wins.
They're good. They're still
their secondary's actually gotten healthy now. They're doing a little bit better. We'll have to see about the weaponry for Carson Wentz. Anyway, so Falcons, Jets, Cards, Patriots, those were our 4 wins. We take 1 loss in the Super Contest. The Chargers.
We had to get beat by the Chargers eventually this season, right? Everybody gets beat by the Chargers eventually. This pick looked great in the first quarter. It looked great in the second quarter. It looked okay in the third quarter. And then with a minute to go, it looked okay in the fourth quarter. If your quarterback throws 4 picks, you're not winning any bet. You're never going to win a bet that way. Never. I don't care what 4 picks in one game.
How do you even remotely think about taking Tampa Bay in any game?
Because Winston's good one day, he's bad the next. Take a look at the game logs. Good one, bad one, good one, bad one, right?
You're going with the every other week theory?
Yes, yeah. He's like the San Francisco Giants. He's like Brett Saberhagen. Come on, this is who he is. I bet you Winston has a good game. Look, I don't like Winston at all. I think he should be done. I wouldn't ever use him in the NFL as a starting quarterback, but the Tampa Bay will rebound. Look, Chargers had a chance, of course, to score at the end of the game. They would have went for 2, just like they did last year, and they won. They beat Kansas City last year on going for 2. I thought we had a shot there at the end. San Diego. The Chargers were the right side in this game. They were winning almost from start to finish. They were covering almost from start to finish. You had one of the worst played quarterback games all season long by a quarterback with Rivers throwing the ball off guys' back of their helmets. Like, I don't even know what was going on in that game. And I know he's taking a beating today. I'm still of the opinion that he's a Hall of Famer, and I think that he'll get there eventually. I know people are really against him, and they're mad and all that, but I think he's had a fantastic career. He was leading the NFL in passing yards as of 3 weeks ago. They'll probably bring in some guys to compete with him next year, and my guess is that next year will be his last year with the Chargers. But the bottom line is the Chargers will break your heart over and over again. They broke ours, and they broke our 5-0. We ended up 4-1.
They ruined the perfect weekend. It
did. I really like that pick a lot too. I really did.
Yeah, I was all in on that. Again, we were talking about that Chargers as dogs. You know what it was? I think it was like Chargers as like a road dog, as a home dog but it was in Mexico City, and the turf was a mess. I mean, it really was. When Badgley missed that second field goal of his from like 40 some odd yards out because of the divot, and then you just saw the way that whole field just started getting ripped up to shreds. You knew it was a problem.
4 picks. The end.
Yeah,
you lose. 4 picks. Well, you're not throwing 4 picks. So it was tough. We'll stay away from the Chargers.
All right. Well, let's take a quick look ahead here. Sure. Thursday night game: Houston, Indianapolis. In Houston, Texans favored by 3.5. You hate the Texans.
I've hated them since the beginning. It was one of my favorite unders of the season. I thought that I was going to have to apologize for that one. And then, after last week, I'm feeling a little better about that. By the way, Houston became the 7th straight team in the NFL to go to London, have the bye, and lose and not cover. And Jacksonville became the 8th. 0-8 against the spread. And straight up. Coming off the London game and the bye. It's something we have to remember for next year for whatever reason that ended up happening. I don't know. 100%. Don't know why, but it happened. Thursday night Colts, 4 I see a little bit here. I would lean under. The total's 45.5. They had to have some miracles to go over the spread in the last game. Houston's offense seems a little bit messy, and when you're betting under in this game, 45.5, you're betting under the kicker of the Indianapolis Colts, who can't make a field goal or kick an extra point this season. And so I'm gonna take the under in that one. I don't know about the side, honestly. I would expect Houston to bounce back in this one, but the interesting part with Houston, you would think the Colts backs are against the wall. It is Houston backs up against the wall. If they lose to the Colts beat them twice. Colts are winning the division. Houston probably out. I don't think another team's making the playoffs, right? From that division? That's it.
No, not from that division, no.
Yeah. Any thoughts for you?
No, not really. I mean, I think that Deshaun Watson really needs to come back with a big game. There are a couple of injuries in the secondary for Indianapolis, which could play out to some things. The key is really whether or not T.Y. Hilton's going to be back.
Yeah, what's the story with him? They're so good with him, and
he's still dealing with the calf injury. The last report that I saw, though, was that he was on target to play this week. This week on Thursday. Not 100%. I'll say this, though. If T.Y. is in there, I will take the Colts. I will take the spread, the points given there. Houston's secondary is just terrible. Terrible.
Yeah, and why Jacksonville couldn't exploit that a few weeks ago with Minshew was crazy. But, yeah, that a good game Thursday night. I'm looking forward to that one. Saturday, we had some huge games last week in college, of course. We had Alabama taking on LSU. A couple weeks ago, and then that was followed up with the Minnesota game. Then Minnesota lost. Penn State's back at it this week, Howard. They're at Ohio State, and there are some people that still feel, even with one loss, that if Penn State beats Ohio State and then wins the Big Ten, that they would get in the playoff. They would be on the outside looking in. How will it happen? Ohio State, 18-point favorites over Penn State on Saturday. That is a huge line. You wouldn't expect that, but there's just not a lot of respect for Penn State after losing to Minnesota. Beyond that, Georgia has a game. They're in the playoff right now. They'll play Texas A&M. I would expect them to win. Their 13.5-point favorites. We mentioned that Baylor game. Baylor's on the outside, clearly looking in. Could be a letdown spot for them against Texas. They're laying 5.5 points in that game. And the biggest spread in the history of the Southeastern Conference with 2 teams in the SEC is also this Saturday. LSU plays against Arkansas, who fired their coach a couple of weeks ago. LSU is a 44-point favorite against Arkansas. Biggest spread in the history of the Southeastern Conference.
And I'll bet you they cover.
But last week, those 2 spreads, UMass covered against Northwestern.
And Rutgers covered.
And Rutgers covered against Ohio State. We figured out we'll take both. We'll win one at least, right?
Right. Didn't take either.
Oh, thank goodness we didn't. NFL, we mentioned the Bucs and Falcons. You can get 4.5 with Tampa right now. Betting the over on Tampa, by the way, is a pretty easy proposition. I don't know how Denver gets up for this game this week against Buffalo. Denver played so well last week against Minnesota. I mean, I can't see it happening again. I love taking dogs, but after that, how are they going to feel in a game at the half, Howard, if the score is like 7-7? Like, they're going to be thinking that they're going to lose. I don't like that one. Giants at the Bears. I'm so disgusted with the Bears. I don't want to even talk about them anymore.
What if Chase Daniels under center and not Trubisky?
I don't know. Daniel came in that game. He looked like, I guess it's not fair, but he looked like done. I don't know what they brought him in the game at the end. It was so weird.
Now, I'm not talking about last week. I'm talking about Chase Daniel, who
laying 6.5. How can the Bears lay 6.5 to anyone?
Listen, I'm fine with that. I just think that the Bears are actually a better team with Chase Daniel than they are with Trubisky.
So. Giants, I'm telling you now, are going to be the number one pick team in the Super Contest this week, and it will not be close.
And we're not touching it. We are not touching
6.5 points.
Yeah, I'm not touching it. Nope. Sorry, not interested.
Steelers -7 at the Bengals. I mean, we can't go back to Cincinnati again, but it sure feels like Cincinnati could win this game. I don't know. Pittsburgh is a mess right now.
Well, that's the big problem. Here we go. Because you and I, strategy wise, we look at it. First thing I look at when I see the lines come out are who the home dogs are.
You got to do it.
Right?
That's the first
thing. And it's Cincinnati.
The dogs Jets in general.
The Jets against Oakland, which actually kind of intrigues me a little bit.
Jets, that could be their win last week. I'm not sure.
It could be. And then Washington against Detroit. And there's no way I'm taking the Skins with 3.5 points. So this is going to be a tough week for us, just as far as identifying where our picks are going to go.
Yeah, giving Aaron Rodgers points on a night game on Sunday night. Wow, that's interesting. +3. Jacksonville, Tennessee, make me throw up and watch that. No thanks.
Dallas, New England.
Dallas doesn't play defense anymore, but they don't have a hard time scoring. I wonder what's going to happen in this game. Boy, these are tougher this week. Saints -9.5 against the Panthers. The Panthers were 5.5 last week. Now they're +9.5 this week. How about the Browns? You feeling good about the Browns?
Against Miami? There you go. Like I just said, I'm all about the revenge game narrative. Does Jarvis Landry go for 10 catches for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns in this one?
Road dogs are hitting over 60%. So I don't know.
Road dogs are hitting over 60%
for the season. I would take Dolphins first half.
Yes. I said that on the show today with Jim. He didn't know what I was talking about.
Half. Yeah, he's like, "Come on up, cowboy." Seahawks Eagles is a marquee game this week. The Eagles are laying 1.5. Oof, boy, tough games this week. We're gonna have to make some tough choices this week.
And the Monday night.
Monday night is the Ravens Rams. I'm not taking the Rams. Sorry. Home dog Monday night though. Oh no, we're gonna have to.
There you go. Well, that's.
Gonna have to take the Rams. Gonna have to take it. It's gonna look ugly. We're gonna be stuck on the Rams. All right. Whatever.
I'm not being stuck on the Rams. The last time you told me to go with the home dog on Monday night, that was the Giants, and they got smoked.
No, they didn't get smoked. That game was close for a long time. Fourth quarter, Dallas took over. I don't feel bad about that.
I watched that game from start to finish, my friend, and there was no way the Giants were covering that spread. There was no way they were doing. Maybe they were in it in the first quarter. Game. Maybe they were in it in the first quarter, my friend. That was terrible.
No, you're totally wrong about that one.
I'm totally wrong about that one?
Yeah, that was a close game for a long time.
Are you sure about that, Craig?
Yes, I'm positive.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think you might be a little crazy.
Weren't the Giants winning at the half?
It was 13-12 at the half in favor of Dallas.
And what was the score after 3 quarters?
And after 3 quarters, it was 16-15.
Okay, so what are you talking about? You're out of here.
What am I talking about?
Here. Penalty flag. Pie in the face. You're getting 7 points on a Monday night. And
who gives up 21 points in the fourth quarter?
Well, things happen, Howard. I mean, what are you going to do? It's the NFL, but you felt really good about that going into the fourth. They didn't kill them.
Crazy.
I'm done.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you are.
Thank you, monkeyknifefight.com.
Oh, thank you, monkeyknifefight.com. Absolutely. Shout out to our sponsors. Go to fantasyalarm.com/monkey. Get yourself in on some of those prop games that monkeyknifefight.com has, and you won't be sorry. And I think if you use a promo code for alarm, you might even get a $10 bonus on your first deposit. There you go. So that's going to do it for us here today. We will be back on Friday. It might not be me. It just depends on my hotel internet because I will be hanging out in Miami. A little DraftKings live final. King of the beach, baby.
Look forward to seeing you this weekend.
Looking forward to seeing you. Absolutely. So that's going to do it for us. Big thanks to all of you for watching. Big thanks to Matt Sells, our producer, for doing all the yeoman's work that he does. For Craig Mish, I'm Howard Bender. Thanks for watching the Wager Alarm live stream. Catch you next time.